Has the election cycle got you down? Is the news just a little bit too much to handle and you'd like to escape for a little while? Here are 5 books that'll help you escape for a little while, and stay to the end for the bonus. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but the constant barrage of the news and this election cycle has just really gotten me overwhelmed. So I needed a break, and I thought you guys might need a break too. So I am going to recommend to you guys 5 different books that I absolutely love that will take you out of your world and into another one, either in a fantasy realm or just a different life. Stay until the end, because I do have a bonus one to share that kind of got tacked on at the very end as I was doing this list. But before we get to that, please remember to like and subscribe to this channel for more awesome book content. So the first book that I am going to recommend to you guys today is one that I fell in love with so stinking fast that I like by the end of chapter 1, I was like, this is going on my favorite shelf. This is going in my top recommendations of all time. And that is Paladin's Grace. I realize I'm really close to the camera. Woo! Look at the shine. Shiny, shiny. Paladin's Grace is the very first book from a series of novels by T. Kingfisher, who is the best in fantasy, legitimately the best author in fantasy, in my opinion. I love her writing style. I love the way that she crafts stories. But this is a part of the Saints of Steel trilogy. Not really a trilogy. What is this? Like a saga? There's 4 books in the series so far, and there's going to be more. She's telling the story of a group of paladins whose god was actually killed. And what do you do once the god that you follow that gives you strength and power is gone? So we're following these paladins through their lives as they are solving mysteries and have new discoveries. And of course, there is love and romance. Now, Grace is the main character of their first book, which is why it's called Paladin's Grace. And the paladin's name is Stephen. And they are the sweetest couple. Grace 100% has ADHD. It's never explicitly told or shown in like our modern day vernacular, but books are falling. But oh my gosh, she has ADHD. It is so funny. As someone who does have ADHD, I recognize it in other people, and it is hysterical. Her thought process, the way that her brain ping-pongs from idea to idea, and you can follow the process, but it happens so fast, and suddenly she's 10,000 miles away from her original thought that started. I love it. I identified with her. They're also older. This is not an 18, 19-year-old love story. These characters are in their 30s and having kind of like this first encounter with love kind of experience. It's absolutely wonderful. There is a little bit of trauma from Grace's point of view that she's having to get over, as well as Stephen's point of view that he's trying to get over. But this book will take you on the funnest little ride, and you will be so happy by the end. Please go pick this up if you need a little bit of a break. So book number 2, and this is in no particular order, by the way. These aren't like my ultimate favorites in descending order or whatever. But this book is an absolute ridiculous thrill ride, and I love it so much. And that is Jessica's Guide to Dating on the Dark Side. This book is so ridiculous, but it's so much fun. So you take Jessica, who is in kind of the middle of nowhere, America. Her parents are anthropologists. There's the right word. Her parents are anthropologists, and she has kind of grown up in this very studious home. And her parents study anthropology of different cultures, and she discovers that she is not who her parents have always said she is when a vampire happens to show up and says that she is his destiny. It is hilarious. It is definitely teenagery, and the conflicts are so funny. The way that it resolves is wonderful. It's a fun, quick read that'll give your brain a break for a little while, and you can just fall in love with love. Now, this next book is on a lot of people's love list and a lot of people's hate list, but I personally found it a lot of fun to read. It was something that was kind of mindless. I didn't have to think about it all that much, and that was The Selection by Kira Cass. When this book first came out, I was obsessed. I'm like, no joke, completely obsessed with this book. I loved the story. I felt like it was The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games, kind of. Like, it was a lot of fun. It is a little bit political. It is a dystopic future where America has been turned into a monarchy. The prince of the monarchy is holding a selection of 35 girls to be his next bride. And the main character, her name is America, and she is kind of this random person that was chosen to be a part of the selection process. And it's her story kind of freaking out on, like, how do I deal with this? Plus, there's a little bit of a love triangle. We love the main character. We love the male protagonist. It's such a fun story. Their relationship grows in, I personally think, a fairly organic way where it's a friendship. It is the first of a trilogy, so if you do end up really liking this one, you'll want to get the next two, which is The Elite and then The One. It follows the entire selection process down to him choosing his bride. There are a lot of twists and turns, a little bit of political turmoil happening in this dystopic future, which, is it a real, truly dystopic novel if there isn't a dystopic, rebellious thing happening? I don't think so. Anyway, so go get this one. This one's super fun, and this is a very short, easy read. It's going to take you maybe an afternoon if you are dedicated, or if you're a mom and you don't have enough time for that, it'll just be a couple of days. Easy read, super fun, and take your mind off the crazy politics of our world. Number 4 is not a fantasy. It's not a dystopic. It's not an urban fantasy. It is just a straight up romantic comedy dealing with first love and your brother's best friend. The Unlikely Romance of Kate Bjorkman by Louise Plummer. This book is a must read for me. I am 6'1". I am a very tall woman, and it's very rare for me to find a book where the main character, the main female character, is also 6'1". And in this book, she is. The main character, Kate, is 6'1". She's super happy at the beginning of the book. There's nothing really awful happening. She goes out to get something for her family at Christmas time, comes back home and finds that her brother and her brother's best friend happen to have come home for Christmas. She has had a crush on her brother's best friend, like, since she was in toddler age, and she happens to have grown up, and he might have noticed. It is a very easy read. It's one that I read pretty much every year around Christmas time because that's when it happens. And it's such a sweet story. And there's definitely a moment near the end of the book that will have you on, like, tiptoe, pins and needles, wanting to, like, reach into the book and take control. But it resolves really sweet, and it's a really, really good one. So I would really suggest The Unlikely Romance of Kate Bjorkman. So for my very final suggestion, I don't have a physical copy of this book. I only have the audiobook that I have listened to and fallen in love. And that is The Spellshop by Sarah Durst. I am so in love with this book, you guys. I can't even tell you how much I love this book right now. So I'm listening to the audiobook, and I have laughed out loud more times in the first 20 to 30% of this book than any other novel I have read this year. It is so funny. The main character, she is a librarian. She is very studious and honestly slightly autistic. She has this thing about wanting to be alone with her and her books. She doesn't like other people in her space. She has very strong boundaries of where things are and how things go. And just having a child who's autistic, I recognize this And I recognize this feeling of like, this is my space, my things, my world. I don't want you to touch it and invade. But of course, what happens, the inciting incident, which is her library gets caught on fire by the revolutionaries. She has to evacuate. She grabs all of her favorite spell books, puts them on a boat, and takes off to her home island where she is trying to find her way. It is hysterical. Her best friend happens to be a sentient plant, a spider plant, that is with her and is her assistant and has learned how to be a librarian, how to catalog things. Their love for books, their dialogue with each other is so funny. I am belly laughing while I'm listening to this book, to the point where like I had to stop listening to it at night because I was going to disturb my husband. I was laughing so hard. So this book is a 10 out of 10. Highly, highly recommend. It is a straight fantasy. There are mer horses. She is a pale blue color. Her hair is a dark blue. You have people with horns. You have different races of fantasy creatures. This is definitely a fantasy book, but it will take you away in the most wonderful way. It'll make you happy. It'll make you giggly. And I love this book. I can't even tell you how much I love this book. So that is The Spellshop by Sarah Durst. And our bonus, because I promised there would be a bonus, I could not do a recommendation video without this book if you're wanting to be taken away a little bit. Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Klaus. Now, I have suggested this book before, and I know that it's not one that really gets recommended very often. It's an older book. It came out in the early 2000s, but it was before the Twilight craze. So you have a werewolf novel that is not influenced by Twilight really at all, and it's such a good book. It's a book about loyalty and about betrayal, about what does it mean to be family and what does it mean to be loyal to that family. It's about first love and first heartbreak and how do you handle that when you're still young yourself and you don't really know what to do. It's about responsibility and duty, and it's all wrapped up in the story of a young girl who's lost her father, has lost her werewolf pack, and they're all trying to kind of come together in a new formation. There's a lot of interplay of politics within the pack itself, but you see it all through Vivian's point of view, who is the daughter of the alpha who had been killed previously, and how she's trying to navigate this new place in her world. Like, how does she fit into the pack now? And of course, there's first loves, there's forbidden love, and there's the resolution that will make you smile. It's a good resolution to the book. It's not a happy-go-lucky, oh, this is wonderful kind of resolution, but it's a resolution that is very satisfactory. And the book was one of the first werewolf novels I ever read, and I fell in love. So there you are. There are my recommendations for books to help you get your mind off of this crazy election cycle for a minute. Unplug, go read for a while, have a great time, and then the chaos will be there waiting for you when you get back, of course, because it never ends. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have a recommendation for a book that is a get your mind out of life kind of book, like a true escapism book, please leave it below in the comments. I would love to hear what books you absolutely love and are the ones that you are rooting for. Also, if you get to the very end of this video, please leave me a little check mark in the comments so that I know that you got to the end. Thank you so much for being here. Like and subscribe. And as always, you are worthy, you are loved, and happy reading.